You've been waking up tired not just in your body, but somewhere deeper. Somewhere words can't reach. You look fine on the outside. You still smile when people ask how you're doing. You still show up, still work, still help others. But when the night comes and it's just you and your thoughts, the silence feels louder than ever. You scroll, you pray, you breathe, but something inside whispers, I can't keep doing this. You don't even know what this is anymore. You're just exhausted emotionally, spiritually, soul deep tired. And yet, there's something strange happening within that tiredness, even in your weakness. There's still a small flicker, a spark that refuses to die. It's like something inside of you is trying to wake up, to rise. Even though your flesh feels too heavy to move, you think you're falling apart. But what if you're actually falling into purpose? Beloved chosen one, listen closely. This contradiction inside you is not confusion, it's calling. The shaking you feel is heaven rearranging your atmosphere. You are not going crazy, you are being called higher. You feel too weak for your assignment because heaven always calls the broken before the strong. The ones who've been crushed are the ones who can carry glory. The ones who've lost everything are the ones who can recognize divine provision. You were never meant to blend in. You were never supposed to be ordinary. That ache in your spirit is heaven's reminder that there's more to your story. Maybe lately you've wondered, why do I feel this way even though I'm trying to do right? The truth is, obedience awakens opposition. The moment you stepped into your divine timeline, darkness took notice. You started to align with purpose, and that alignment shook everything false around you. Friendships shifted, opportunities dried up. Things you used to love now feel empty. That's not rejection, it's redirection. Heaven had to pull certain things away to make room for what's next. But even as things fall apart, something deeper is being formed. Heaven's silence is not absence, it's construction. God is building in silence what will one day speak loudly. You think nothing's happening, but in the invisible realm, angels are moving, preparing, guarding every step you take. There were nights you almost gave up, moments when you thought, if one more thing happens, I'm done. But you didn't fall. You didn't lose your mind. You didn't die in that place. Do you know why? Because angels were holding the line for you. When you thought no one cared, heaven assigned watchers over you. They stood between you and destruction. While you slept through your tears, they warred in your defense. That was not coincidence, that was divine coverage. The enemy tried to break your spirit, but God said, not this one. You are still here not because of luck, but because of protection. Look back for a moment. Think about the storms that should have drowned you, the heartbreak that should have hardened your heart, the betrayal that should have destroyed your trust, the loss that should have left you bitter. Yet you still have love. You still have faith. You still feel something holy stirring in your chest. That is not weakness, that is proof of divine endurance. As we are reminded through the writings of David in the Psalms, chapter 34, verse 18, the Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit. These are not just words, they are the heartbeat of heaven toward you. God never distances himself from your pain. He draws near to it. Every tear you've shed was an invitation for his presence to surround you. You didn't cry alone, angels stood beside you, listening to your soul speak what your mouth couldn't say. So, chosen one, lift your head. The season that tried to bury you was actually planting you. What feels like the end is the soil of your beginning. The pain that tried to silence you is the very thing heaven will use to amplify your voice. Don't rush this process. God is not finished shaping you. The exhaustion you feel will soon give way to divine energy. You will rise stronger. Not because life became easy, but because grace became real. Listen to me, this isn't coincidence. Heaven pressed pause on everything just so you would hear these words right now. You are not forgotten. You are not behind. You are being positioned for impact. Heaven has assigned angels to walk with you through this season, and the same God who started this work in you will not stop until it's complete. Now, if this message is finding you at just the right moment, if your heart is beating faster, if you know this is for you, pause and declare your alignment. Type 9999 in the comments as your prophetic act of renewal. Like, share, subscribe, and if you're moved, donate so this word can continue to reach other warriors walking through their midnight hour. You're not breaking down, chosen one. You're breaking through. You will not return to who you were before this breaking. Something inside you has shifted permanently. Your spirit has matured in the silence. Your discernment has sharpened through the pain. The version of you that survived this season is wiser, steadier, and ready to walk in authority. Heaven has declared your preparation complete. The same angels that once guarded your nights are now marching ahead of you. They clear the path, opening doors no man can shut. Your prayers are no longer whispers of desperation. They are decrees of power. The wilderness has ended, and a divine wind is pushing you forward into the territory meant for your feet alone. So rise now, chosen one. Lift your eyes and step boldly. You have endured the crushing and emerged as gold refined by fire. This is your moment to walk, not in fear, but in holy confidence. Heaven moves when you move. Every step you take now resounds with eternal purpose. Walk on. The plan unfolds. You've been wondering lately if you still matter, if your presence truly makes a difference in the world around you. There's a quiet heaviness sitting in your chest, the kind that doesn't come from exhaustion but from emptiness. You wake up tired, not because of what you've done, but because of what you've lost: your sense of meaning, your sense of worth. You try to keep going, to stay busy, to be what others need you to be, but deep down, a question echoes. Am I really enough? It follows you into your mornings and lingers at night. You hide it well behind smiles, behind responsibility, behind strength, but heaven sees it. And heaven whispers back, you were never meant to prove your worth. You were meant to remember it. The ache you feel is not a curse, it's a calling. It's your spirit remembering something the world made you forget, that your value was never up for negotiation. The Creator Himself placed something eternal inside you. You weren't made to chase validation. You were made to carry light. The emptiness you feel is simply your soul asking for alignment again. Long before your first breath, God placed a seal upon your life, a divine imprint that no one else carries. It cannot be erased by rejection or failure, nor can it be replaced by imitation. That is why you've always felt different. You were never meant to blend in. You carry a signature from heaven, and the world often misunderstands what it cannot label. But over time, the noise of life began to blur that truth. Words from others left stains on your heart. Their rejection made you question your value. You started to measure yourself by how you were treated, by what you could give, by how loudly the world applauded. But heaven's measurement is different. God doesn't count your worth in achievements or approval. He measures it in authenticity, in how you love when it hurts, how you forgive when it's undeserved, how you keep believing when there's no visible reason to. The healing of self-worth begins here, with remembering who you've always been. Take a slow breath. Feel it fill your chest, your ribs, your heart. Now say softly to yourself, I am known. I am loved. I am not forgotten. These are not just affirmations, they are spiritual realignments. They draw your scattered worth back into the truth of who you are. As it was spoken in the book of Jeremiah, chapter 1, verse 5. Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart. Those words were not written for someone else. They were written for you. Before you could make a single choice, before the world could label you, heaven already defined you. That is your foundation, unchanging, unshakable, eternal. The practice of healing your worth begins with recognition. When you wake up, say, I am known. When doubt whispers, say, I am chosen. And when night falls, remind your soul, I am marked by God. These simple phrases rewire the places in you that have been taught to forget. Healing doesn't happen in one prayer, it happens in small, repeated moments of truth. Every time you speak life over yourself, you are replacing a lie that once lived there. Begin to see the divine imprint in your own story. Look at the times you should have fallen apart but didn't. Remember the people who arrived just when you needed them. Recall the peace that found you in impossible moments. These are not coincidences, they are fingerprints of grace. Proof that your life has never been outside of divine hands. And those scars you carry, they are not shame, they are stories. Every scar is proof that pain did not win. You've been through storms that tried to erase you, but instead, they revealed you. That's what divine design does. It turns what was meant to bury you into what will build you. If you have ever felt unseen, it's because God was hiding you, not forgetting you. Hidden seasons are not punishment, they are preparation. Diamonds don't develop in sunlight, they form in pressure, in darkness, until they are ready to reflect light fully. That's what's happening to you, too. There's power in acknowledging this moment. Right now, decide to stop fighting your reflection. You are not a mistake in progress, you are a miracle unfolding. Every flaw that you think disqualifies you is actually part of the design that makes you distinct. Healing your sense of worth also means releasing comparison. You cannot measure your life with someone else's ruler. Your path is not theirs. Your timing is not theirs. Heaven's fingerprints are unique on every soul. What takes another person a moment might take you a decade, but the process is sacred in both. So breathe again. Let go of what you thought you had to become and return to who you already are. The mark of God on your life is indelible. It cannot fade with failure or fear. It is written in eternity, sealed in grace, and carried in your very being. If you could see yourself through heaven's eyes, you'd never question your worth again. You'd see a design so intentional, a light so rare, a spirit so resilient that even the shadows cannot cover it. Take today as a holy reminder, your worth doesn't need to be rebuilt, it needs to be remembered. Speak kindly to yourself. Treat your heart like sacred ground, because it is. Every breath you take is a continuation of divine purpose. You are not here by chance. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are exactly where you are meant to be, becoming who you were always destined to become. Let this be the beginning of your restoration. Don't rush it. Don't diminish it. Just live aware of it. Healing self-worth is not about becoming someone new, it's about returning to the truth that you've always mattered. You were seen before the world knew your name. You were chosen before you had a voice. And you are loved beyond the limits of your understanding. That is the divine imprint you carry. That is who you've always been. You've been feeling something stirring again, haven't you? It's subtle, almost like a pulse beneath your rib. You can't explain it, but you sense that life is shifting. You look at the same places, the same faces, and yet something inside you no longer fits there. It's not boredom, it's awakening. You've outgrown environments that once felt comfortable because your spirit is expanding beyond the limits of old patterns. You may not realize it yet, but this is the beginning of your transformation. You're in the in-between, the space where the familiar is fading, but the new has not yet appeared. It's the place where faith must become your vision. And though it feels uncertain, heaven calls this phase holy ground. This is where the deepest growth happens. You've felt the tension lately. Haven't you? A pull between who you were and who you're becoming? The conversations that used to excite you now drain you. The habits that once felt harmless now feel heavy. You find yourself craving silence, craving peace, craving truth. That's not isolation, it's recalibration. Heaven is quieting the noise around you so you can finally hear the sound of your own purpose again. This is also the season where healing deepens. You've already faced your worth. Now it's time to face your wounds. You can't move forward carrying the same fears that once kept you small. You have to let go of the idea that healing means forgetting. Real healing is remembering without reopening. It's looking at your past and seeing lessons instead of labels. There are still fragments of pain that need your attention. The words that pierced you years ago. The disappointments you tried to suppress. The dreams that died quietly inside you, they still live in your memory, waiting to be acknowledged. Healing requires honesty. Pretending you're fine will only delay your breakthrough. When you dare to name what hurt you, you give heaven permission to touch it. Sometimes you ask, why can't I just move on? Because heaven is teaching you how to move through. What you run from repeats, but what you face redeems. Every emotion you feel right now is not weakness. It's communication. Your heart is trying to show you where it still bleeds. And when you finally allow yourself to see the wound, that's when divine light can enter. As was spoken in the book of Psalms, chapter 30, verse 2. Lord my God, I called to you for help, and you healed me. Healing is not distant. It is happening now, in real time, even as you read this. The parts of you that once shut down are being restored. The numbness is thawing. The fragments are finding each other again. God never promised a painless life, but He did promise that pain would not be wasted. Every tear has watered a seed you cannot yet see. You may feel alone on this journey, but you're not. Heaven walks beside you quietly. Angels guard the edges of your steps, even when you can't feel it. Something is holding you steady. You've survived nights that should have broken you. You've kept going when quitting would have made more sense. That's resilience and its divine evidence. This is the season to release control. You can't heal by managing outcome. You heal by trusting the process. The unknown isn't your enemy, it's the doorway to revelation. God doesn't always fix situations first, He fixes perspective. And once your perspective shifts, the power of your past loses its grip. Stop apologizing for evolving. Growth will cost you comfort, but it will also gift you peace. There are people who won't understand your transformation, and that's okay. You're not responsible for their comprehension. You're responsible for your obedience. When you stop explaining your process, you start protecting your progress. Listen closely now, your old self has served its purpose. The version of you that used to settle, hide, or shrink no longer fits your future. Heaven is whispering, it's time. This moment is sacred because it marks your becoming. If you're reading this and something inside you feels like it's being called higher, that's your confirmation. That's heaven saying, I'm not done with you yet. You may not see the full picture, but that's intentional. God doesn't show the destination before He builds your trust. You're learning how to move by faith, not by familiarity. The bridge between who you were and who you are becoming is called surrender. Step onto it. Now take a deep breath. Exhale the guilt. Exhale the fear. Inhale peace. You are being remade, refined, and realigned. Every day you stay faithful in small things. Heaven writes new strength into your story. This moment right here, right now, is not random. It's divine alignment. Heaven knows you're reading this because it's time for your heart to breathe again. Time for your purpose to rise again. And now, pause for a moment. Don't scroll, don't rush. Just write these 3 words in the comments: heal me, Lord. Write it not as a plea, but as a declaration. Those words are not weakness, they are surrender. When you say, heal me, Lord, you're not admitting defeat. You're granting heaven permission to finish what it started. Healing is a divine partnership. Your honesty invites His power. Let that phrase be your seal of agreement. You've been prepared in silence, purified through struggle, and positioned through waiting. Everything that was taken, delayed, or denied is about to make sense. You're not behind. You're right on schedule. The stirring inside you is real. The new season has begun. The old pain no longer defines you, it refines you. Stand in that truth. Say it again quietly to yourself: heal me, Lord. Because those who dare to speak it are the ones heaven restores completely. You've noticed it, haven't you? The strange tension in the air, the sense that something around you is shifting, even if you can't explain it. People have changed. Energy has shifted, and situations that once felt stable are suddenly uncertain. You're not imagining it. This is a divine stirring. The world around you is responding to the movement of heaven over your life. Lately, it feels like everything familiar is being rearranged. Relationships are being tested. Opportunities are closing, and the things that once felt solid are shaking. You might be tempted to think something's wrong, but in truth, this is divine order. God shakes what is temporary so that what is eternal can stand. He's not punishing you. He's positioning you. The uncertainty isn't the enemy, it's the evidence that the atmosphere is aligning. Every shift in your life right now is serving a purpose. Heaven is clearing space for what's next. You've prayed for growth, but growth always comes through stretching. And stretching never feels comfortable. The pressure you feel isn't meant to crush you, it's meant to shape you. The discomfort is confirmation that you're moving in divine rhythm. You might feel like things are falling apart, but they're actually falling into place. This is what spiritual alignment looks like. Heaven is orchestrating connections, redirections, and even separations to fulfill the plan written for you long before time began. You are stepping into an hour where the unseen will soon become visible, and every delay will make sense, as was spoken in the book of Proverbs, chapter 16, verse 9. In their hearts humans plan their course, but the Lord establishes their steps. That truth is the anchor of every shaking season. You plan, you try, you strive, but in the end, it's heaven that aligns your path. What you see as detours are actually divine reroutes. The moments that feel like standstills are sacred pauses, keeping you from moving in the wrong direction. God doesn't always explain His rearranging. He simply redirects until your steps match His will. Maybe lately you've felt frustrated, like nothing you do seems to move forward. You're praying, trying, waiting, but the silence is stretching longer than you expected. Don't mistake silence for stillness. Heaven is moving even when you cannot see. There's a reason you've been kept hidden. There's a reason certain doors didn't open. The delay wasn't denial, it was protection. Some opportunities look like blessings but carry poison. Heaven knows what you cannot yet see. So breathe. Stop fighting the process. You don't have to understand everything to trust that God is working. You just need to stay positioned. When the time is right, what's been held back will be released. Every no you faced will point you directly toward the yes that matters most. This is the season of divine rearrangement. People who were never meant to carry your future are being released from your present. It hurts. Yes, but it's holy. Heaven removes what cannot walk with you so that your path remains clear. You are being refined by separation. What's leaving you now is simply making space for what's coming. Don't be afraid of the unfamiliar. You are being guided step by step. There's a pattern to every movement, a sacred rhythm written into your destiny. Heaven's order is not random. Every shift, every encounter, every ending is a setup for revelation. If you feel isolated, it's because God has placed you in what's called the silent forge. It's where He strengthens character and sharpens discernment. You are learning to hear His voice without needing validation. You are learning to trust what cannot be seen. Pay attention to the signs around you. Numbers repeating, dreams returning, songs that echo words from your prayers. None of it is accidental. Heaven uses symbols to speak to those who are listening. There is meaning in the moments you're tempted to overlook. Even now, the Spirit is whispering, "Stay still. I am working." When things begin to shift rapidly, don't panic. Alignment feels like chaos before it feels like peace. The storm is not a sign of destruction. It's the sound of delivery. You are in labor with destiny, and the pressure you feel is proof that something new is being birthed through you. Now, pause for a moment. Don't rush this one. If this word feels like it's reading your life, it's because heaven timed it that way. And right now, I want you to declare your agreement not with many words, but with a prophetic number. Type 404 in the comments. Do it as an act of alignment. The number 4 represents divine order, foundation, and stability. When you write 444, you are not typing digits, you are declaring, "My steps are being ordered." It's a spiritual symbol that you trust the process even when you don't see the full picture. Let it be your silent prayer of surrender. Because the truth is, God is not rebuilding your life the way it was. He is building it stronger, deeper, unshakable. The storm you're in is proof that foundations are being tested and strengthened. What comes next will not collapse like before. This time, you'll stand firm because heaven itself laid the groundwork. Every time you feel lost, remember this alignment always feels like disorientation before revelation. Don't resist what's rearranging you. Rest in it. Heaven is removing everything unstable so that your roots go deeper. Soon, you'll look back and realize that what you thought was chaos was actually choreography. Every delay, every change, every goodbye, it all formed a divine pattern. And when it's done, peace will return. Not as a visitor, but as a resident. So keep walking, keep trusting. The shaking is almost over, and what remains will be unshakable. You are standing on the edge of divine order being fulfilled in your life. Comment 444 if you can feel this truth resonating in your spirit. Let heaven see your agreement, because this is the moment everything hidden begins to align. There are moments in life when you feel like you're standing in the middle of a field after the storm has passed. The clouds have lifted, but the ground beneath you is still wet. You look around at the pieces, memories, people, versions of yourself, and wonder, what now? You've survived what tried to break you. But surviving isn't the same as living again. It's strange, isn't it? You've walked through darkness, but now that the light is back, you don't quite know what to do with it. You've grown used to surviving, so thriving feels unfamiliar. You find yourself hesitating before joy, doubting good things, waiting for something to go wrong. But this quiet moment after the storm is exactly where God begins to rebuild. Imagine a garden after heavy rain. The soil looks messy, disrupted, but beneath the surface, it's rich ready. The very storm that seemed to destroy has softened the ground for new life. That's where you are. Heaven has tilled the soil of your soul. The tears you cried watered the seeds you didn't know you had planted. Now, growth is coming. Slowly, quietly, but surely. You might not see it yet, but something sacred is sprouting beneath your pain. The same God who walked you through the valley is now teaching you how to walk in sunlight again. He's calling you to lift your eyes, to trust that what's ahead is better than what's behind. You've been rebuilt differently. You no longer carry the shallow roots of who you were. You've become like a tree that bends but never breaks. And though the wind still blows, you've learned that storms don't come to destroy strong trees, they come to reveal them. You are that tree now, weathered, wiser, still standing. According to what is revealed in the book of Isaiah, chapter 61, verse 3. They will be called oaks of righteousness, a planting of the Lord for the display of his splendor. That's you, a living testimony of strength planted in divine soil. You've endured winds of betrayal, rain of sorrow, and droughts of silence. Yet here you are, alive, rooted, radiant. You carry the evidence of God's hand upon your life. You are proof that what is planted in faith will not die in adversity. But even as the new season begins, there's something heaven is whispering to you. Don't rebuild alone. Healing is never meant to be solitary. When God restores, he often sends connection people, voices, communities to nurture the garden he's growing in you. You were never meant to stand isolated. The same way trees thrive in forests, your spirit grows stronger in fellowship. That's why this space, this message, this community exists. It's a gathering of hearts like yours. Souls that have walked through fire and still dare to believe in light. We are gardeners of hope, tending the soil together, encouraging one another to bloom again. And if these words have found you, it's because you are part of that divine ecosystem. Now, if this message resonates, if it feels like a mirror for your journey, let me ask you something simple but sacred. Help it grow. When you like, it's more than an algorithm, it's an act of agreement. When you share, you're scattering seeds of healing to others still walking through their storm. When you subscribe, you're choosing to stay connected to the flow of faith and encouragement that heaven is releasing here. And if your heart is stirred to donate, know this, it's not about money, it's about ministry. Every seed you sow becomes part of the light that reaches someone who's sitting in the dark right now. Your generosity becomes a ripple of restoration. You may never meet them, but heaven will record your kindness. Think of it this way, a single candle can light 1,000 others without losing its flame. Every small act, every like, every share, every gift is a spark. And together, those sparks become a wildfire of grace spreading through the earth. That's how revival begins, not with noise, but with hearts aligned in quiet faith. Don't underestimate what you carry. You might think your story is small, but to someone else, it's a map. You might think your voice is soft, but to someone lost in silence, it's rescue. That's why you must keep shining, because every healed soul becomes a lighthouse for the next ship in the storm. Even now, heaven is rewriting your narrative. You are entering a time when what once felt heavy will become holy. The memories that used to ache will turn into messages of hope. Every broken piece is being repurposed into something beautiful. You don't need to force it, you just need to stay open. Look at your hands for a moment. They've carried burdens, wiped tears, held on when it would have been easier to let go. But now, they're being repurposed for building, creating, and blessing. The same hands that survived will soon sow new beginnings. So lift them not in surrender to fear, but in gratitude for what's coming. Because what's coming is renewal. What's coming is joy without guilt, peace without condition, and love without fear. Heaven is not just restoring what was lost, it's multiplying what remains. If this word has reached you, it's because you were meant to hear it now, not later. You were meant to remember that after every storm, the sun returns stronger, brighter, steadier. And maybe, just maybe, this is your sunrise. So as you step into your next chapter, do one simple thing, help someone else see the light too. Like, share, subscribe, and if you feel led, donate to keep this light alive. Every small act helps the garden grow. Every heart that joins keeps the flame burning. Because together, we are rebuilding more than ourselves, we are rebuilding hope. There comes a moment when everything inside you shifts, not dramatically, not with lightning or thunder, but quietly, like the slow opening of dawn. It doesn't always look spiritual from the outside. Sometimes it happens while you're washing dishes, sitting in traffic, or crying in the shower. Suddenly, something clicks. You realize you're not the same person you were even a month ago. Something in you has awakened. You can feel it. The way you think, the way you respond, even the way you pray, it's changing. You no longer crave what once drained you. You no longer chase what never filled you. It's like your soul is stretching into a new shape, one that fits who you truly are. That, right there, is your awakening. It doesn't arrive with fireworks. It arrives with awareness. You start noticing what's real, what's pure, what's divine. You sense the presence of God not just in churches or sacred spaces, but in the ordinary moments of your day. You feel Him in the wind, in laughter, in quiet breaths between your thoughts. You begin to understand that holiness isn't always loud, it's often simple, soft, and steady. You've been walking through a long night, and for a while you wondered if the sun would ever rise again. But here it is, the first light of a new season. You might not be where you want to be yet, but you're not where you used to be. That's the miracle, not perfection, but progress. As the prophet wrote in the book of Habakkuk, chapter 2, verse 3, "For the vision awaits an appointed time. Though it linger, wait for it. It will surely come and will not delay." This is your appointed time. The awakening inside you is not random, it's right on schedule. Every delay has prepared you for this clarity. Every closed door, every lonely season, every disappointment, they've all been leading you here. To this realization, you have not been waiting for God to move. He has been waiting for you to awaken. Now it's time to mark this moment. Don't let it slip away unnoticed. Moments like this are sacred, they are thresholds. You are crossing from survival into awareness, from endurance into purpose. When heaven shifts your spirit, it deserves to be remembered. So pause for a moment. Take a breath. Let your heart recognize what's happening right now. You are awakening. You are remembering who you were always meant to be. Mark this moment. You can do it in any way that feels real to you. Write the date somewhere. Step outside and look at the sky. Say out loud, "I remember this day," because one day when life gets loud again, you'll need to look back and remember this was the turning point. This was when your eyes opened. The act of marking the moment isn't just symbolic, it's spiritual. In Scripture, every time God did something significant, His people built an altar, not out of gold or marble, but out of stones, ordinary, rough, earthly things. Those stones became reminders of what heaven had done on ordinary ground. You can do the same. Build a memory altar in your heart. Let this moment be your stone of remembrance. Maybe for you, that means journaling what you've learned. Maybe it means forgiving someone who's been living rent-free in your heart. Maybe it means speaking kindly to yourself after years of criticism. Whatever it looks like. Choose one action today to mark the awakening. Don't just feel it, anchor it. Awakening always requires acknowledgement. When you declare, "This is my moment," heaven confirms it. You give shape to the unseen. That's how transformation becomes permanent. Because unacknowledged change fades, but declared change multiplies. You've been through enough seasons of surviving. Now, heaven is inviting you to live awake, to see beauty where there was once bitterness, to choose peace where there was once panic, to walk with awareness that you are surrounded by divine orchestration every single day. This awakening is not just about seeing clearly, it's about living differently. You'll begin to notice that you move slower, but with intention. You'll speak less, but with more power. You'll love deeper, but without fear. That's what awakening does. It purifies your vision until all that remains is truth. There will still be challenges ahead. Life won't suddenly turn easy, but you'll navigate it differently. You won't react from fear anymore. You'll respond from faith. You'll stop begging for signs and start recognizing the ones already around you. You'll see that every sunrise is a message, every setback is a redirection, and every breath is proof that purpose still pulses within you. Now take this moment and practice it. Close your eyes for 1 minute. Breathe deeply. Picture the last season you've survived and whisper quietly to your own soul, "I made it here." Then open your eyes and choose one small sacred act that will mark this day as your awakening. Light a candle, take a walk, call someone you love, write one truth on a piece of paper and keep it near you. Let your action become the altar that seals this shift. This is your turning point, your first sunrise after a long night. You don't need to rush ahead, just breathe and acknowledge the light breaking through. It's here. You're here. Heaven is here. Mark it, remember it, live from it. Because what you honor in this moment will carry you into every moment that follows. You are standing at the edge of a new beginning, no longer asleep in old pain, but awake in divine clarity. What once confused you now feels like preparation. Heaven doesn't rush awakenings. It unfolds them gently until you see how guided you've been all along. Carry this awareness into tomorrow. Let every sunrise remind you of this moment when you chose to live awake. Keep your eyes open, your heart soft, and your spirit steady. The awakening doesn't end here, it continues every time you choose presence over fear. There are days when the world feels louder than your spirit, when even the smallest things seem to pull you out of peace. You wake up with a calm heart, but before noon, it feels like the noise of life has taken over. The messages, the deadlines, the expectations, they crowd your soul until you can't hear your own thoughts. You long for silence, not because you want to escape, but because something in you is craving the sacred stillness where God's whisper becomes clear again. This longing for silence is not weakness, it's calling. The soul knows when it's time to step away, to pause, to breathe. Just as lungs need air, your spirit needs space. You cannot hear heaven in constant motion. The voice of God is rarely loud. It's gentle, calm, and precise. It doesn't shout above chaos, it waits beneath it. So if you've been feeling drained, detached, or disoriented, it's not because you've lost your faith. It's because you're being invited to listen differently. Sometimes, heaven stops speaking through signs and starts speaking through stillness. God doesn't always send thunder. Sometimes he sends peace that has no explanation. You are learning to recognize His presence not in grand gestures but in quiet assurances. A moment of unexpected calm. A sunset that arrives exactly when your heart needed color. A verse that comes to mind without you searching for it. These small moments are not coincidences, they are divine appointments. Heaven speaks in subtle ways to those who have learned how to notice. There was a time when you sought miracles in the sky. Now you're learning that the greatest miracle happens within. The shift from fear to trust. From hurry to peace, that's the true transformation. The world tells you to keep moving, keep proving, keep producing. But heaven whispers, be still and know. You don't earn divine love through effort. You experience it through awareness. As Jesus himself declared in the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 11, verse 28, "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest." These are not just words, they are an invitation. Rest is not laziness, it's alignment. It's the act of returning your energy to where it belongs. When you rest in Him, you realign your rhythm with eternity. You remember that the same God who created galaxies is also orchestrating the details of your day. If your soul has been weary, let that weariness guide you home. You don't have to chase peace, you return to it. It's been waiting beneath all your striving. When you stop running, you find it sitting patiently, whispering, "I never left." Silence is not the absence of movement, it's the presence of meaning. It's where the fragments of your thoughts begin to settle and clarity slowly rises like mist after rain. In that space, you realize that not every battle needs your sword, not every conversation needs your voice, and not every storm requires your reaction. Some things are meant to pass while you remain still. Stillness is not stagnation, it's sacred observation. It's the art of watching without panicking, waiting without doubting, and believing without proof. This is where heaven does its deepest work. When you stop striving, divine hands begin rebuilding. When you stop trying to control the outcome, grace begins to shape it. You are learning now what the prophets knew, that peace is not found when the world calms down. It's found when your heart stands firm in the middle of it. The storm doesn't have to stop for you to be still. You just have to choose stillness even when the waves roar. There's beauty in this quieter chapter of your life. It's where strength grows in secret. The kind of strength that doesn't need to shout or prove it simply is. Like a mountain unmoved by the winds. You are discovering a steadiness that cannot be shaken. It's not pride, it's presence. You have learned that your peace is your weapon, your calm is your authority, and your patience is your proof of maturity. When you walk through the world with this kind of quiet power, people will notice. They won't understand it, but they'll feel it. You won't need to announce your transformation. Your peace will speak for you. The light in your eyes will reveal that you've been somewhere sacred, somewhere beyond fear. In this stillness, you'll begin to discern between noise and truth. Not every urgent voice deserves your attention. Not every invitation requires your acceptance. You are learning the difference between movement and progress. Some steps take you forward, others just keep you busy. But now, your steps are ordered. Your pace is intentional. This is the kind of maturity that doesn't come from age, it comes from surrender. You've stopped trying to be understood and started choosing to understand. You've stopped arguing to be right and started seeking to be at peace. You've stopped forcing outcomes and started trusting timing. This is what spiritual evolution feels like: less striving, more serenity. And maybe this quiet, unremarkable day is the proof that you've grown. You no longer need the world to notice your transformation because heaven already has. You no longer need applause because you found assurance. The noise around you hasn't stopped. but it no longer controls your inner sound. Take this moment to breathe again. Feel the air enter your lungs, the same air breathed by prophets and poets and saints before you. Each inhale is a reminder you are sustained by something greater. You are held by unseen hands. Rest your mind. Let your shoulders drop. You don't have to fix everything today. Some days are meant for listening. Some days are meant for receiving. Today is one of those days. Let silence become your prayer. Let peace become your praise. Let your stillness become your sanctuary. For in this sacred quiet, heaven is closer than ever, and the voice that created the stars still whispers your name with gentleness. Stay here for a while in the calm, in the presence, in the knowing. You are exactly where you need to be. There are seasons in life when you begin to see patterns repeating, not to torment you, but to teach you. The same kind of person, the same kind of situation, the same emotional storm comes back, not because you failed, but because heaven wants to show you that this time you'll respond differently. You've changed more than you realize. What used to break you now barely shakes you. What once confused you now clarifies you. This is growth disguised as déjà vu. Life brings you back to familiar tests so you can see your transformation with your own eyes. You are not being punished, you are being proven. And proof always comes through repetition. God doesn't send lessons to harm, He sends them to strengthen. Every circle is an invitation to walk it with new wisdom. You used to ask, why does this keep happening? But now you're beginning to ask, what is this showing me? That's the sign of maturity. You no longer see pain as the enemy, you see it as the instructor. And when you reach that point, every disappointment turns into direction. There are moments when heaven allows old doors to appear again, not so you'll step through them, but so you'll see why they needed to close in the first place. Every encounter, every test, every delay has hidden revelation in it. You are being trained to discern, not just to feel. Think of gold in the fire. It's not that the fire creates the gold was always there. The heat simply exposes what's pure and burns away what isn't. That's what your life looks like right now. The heat is revealing who you really are, as was spoken in the first letter of Peter, chapter 1, verse 7. These trials will show that your faith is genuine. It is being tested as fire tests and purifies gold. These words aren't poetic, they are prophetic. They remind you that pressure doesn't diminish worth. It reveals it. You are not being melted, you are being refined. Every struggle is evidence that heaven trusts you with weight. God does not test what He plans to discard. He tests what He plans to display. So when you face another familiar storm, don't say, not again. Say, this time, I see it. Because once you recognize the pattern, you reclaim your power. Awareness breaks the cycle. The moment you stop reacting like you used to, the lesson is complete. That's how heaven promotes you from awareness to authority. Sometimes your next level isn't about doing more. It's about reacting less. It's about choosing silence when provoked, peace when misunderstood, grace when forgotten. These are not small choices, they are sacred. Every time you choose peace over panic, you prove that the transformation has taken root. You're walking through a season where discernment matters more than speed. Don't rush through what heaven is trying to reveal. The same pattern that once exhausted you will now empower you if you pause long enough to see it clearly. The truth is, divine maturity looks quiet from the outside. People may not notice that you're changing, but heaven does. Heaven records every silent decision you make when no one's watching, every time you forgive instead of fighting, every time you release instead of retaliating. Every time you rest instead of worrying, that's spiritual authority being built in the unseen. You're not who you used to be. The very things that used to send you spiraling now send you to prayer. The same words that once wounded now wash off like rain. You're lighter because you've learned to stop carrying what isn't yours. That's not weakness, it's wisdom. The old version of you needed to win arguments. The new version of you only wants peace. The old version sought closure. The new one simply closes the door. That's what heaven calls transformation, when strength starts looking like gentleness. When power begins to sound like quiet. Pause for a moment. Look at your life right now. The things that are repeating are not punishments, they are mirrors. They're showing you how far you've come. And if you really pay attention, you'll notice that the same storm no longer feels as strong. Why? Because you've built shelter inside your soul. Every prayer you whispered in the dark built walls of faith around your heart. Every time you chose forgiveness, you added another beam of grace. And now, when the wind blows, you no longer tremble, you stand. You've become a temple of endurance. Proof that light can live through any season. Sometimes growth doesn't announce itself with breakthroughs, it shows up in your calmness during battles that once consumed you. You don't need to prove your peace to anyone. Peace doesn't need an audience, it needs residence. Let it live in you. Right now, you're standing in a moment of holy realization. The cycle isn't repeating anymore, it's concluding. Heaven is marking the end of a pattern that kept you small. What once tested you has now been conquered by your awareness. You've passed through fire and found yourself whole. And now, take this truth deeply into your heart. It's not about avoiding storms anymore, it's about recognizing the divine rhythm in them. The storm comes to strengthen, the silence comes to settle, the shift comes to align. Nothing in your story has been wasted. You've learned what the wise have always known, that maturity is not about knowing everything. It's about recognizing God's hand in everything. If you feel this truth stirring inside you, I want you to pause right here, breathe, and affirm your new understanding in the simplest way possible. Comment, "I've grown." Those two words may look small, but they carry weight. When you type them, you're not declaring pride, you're declaring awareness. You're acknowledging that the fire refined you, the lessons shaped you, and the patterns no longer control you. Say it with gratitude, not ego. Say it because you finally see that growth is not about becoming more, it's about becoming true. When you say, "I've grown," heaven nods in agreement, because you've reached the point where endurance has turned into wisdom. There comes a time in every journey when God stops responding to what you want and starts inviting you to what He wills. It's a sacred crossroads, the place where your desires and His direction meet. And sometimes it feels like conflict. You've prayed, waited, tried, and still the door hasn't opened. You ask, "Why isn't this happening?" But maybe the better question is, what is heaven trying to align? Because what feels like delay is often divine protection. What feels like silence is strategy. God doesn't always move according to your urgency. He moves according to His authority. And right now, He is asking you to come back under that authority. To stop fighting to make things happen and start aligning with what He's already doing. You've carried the weight of trying to control outcomes for too long. You've prayed like it all depends on you. Worked like the world might fall apart if you stopped. But the truth is, peace doesn't live in control, it lives in surrender. You are not called to manage God's plan, you are called to move within it. As was written in the book of Proverbs, chapter 3, verses 5 and 6. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge Him, and He will make your paths straight. This scripture is not an instruction to do less, it's an invitation to trust more, to release the illusion that your wisdom can sustain what only grace can build. You cannot hold together what God is still forming. Sometimes your strength gets in His way. There is freedom in letting go of your agenda and saying, "Lord, not my plan, but yours." That's not defeat, it's alignment. It's stepping back into divine order, where your spirit moves in rhythm with heaven's heartbeat. Think of a river. It doesn't argue with its direction, it simply flows. It doesn't control where it goes, yet it always reaches its destination. That's how your life is meant to move, guided by current, not by control. When you try to dam the flow, you create resistance. But when you yield, you find speed, ease, and grace. Placing yourself back under God's authority is not about losing identity. It's about finding it. When you surrender, you don't shrink, you synchronize. You stop asking heaven to bless your plans and start asking heaven to reveal His. That shift changes everything, because alignment produces acceleration. Maybe that's why certain things haven't worked out. It's not punishment, it's preservation. God won't bless what doesn't fit His timing. You might have the right desire but the wrong season. You might be chasing a good thing when He's preparing a greater one. When heaven closes a door, it's not rejecting you, it's redirecting you. It's time to rest your will in His wisdom, to stop forcing what isn't flowing, to surrender not because you've run out of options, but because you finally realize that divine order is better than personal effort. You've seen what happens when you try to make things happen your way. The exhaustion, the frustration, the disappointment. But something holy happens when you stop striving. You begin to sense the divine orchestration around you. Conversations happen naturally. Peace returns easily. Doors open without struggle. That's the fruit of alignment. It feels like grace, not grind. And maybe you've been praying, "God, make it happen." But heaven's response is, "Let me lead." Because the truth is, He doesn't need your help to fulfill His promise. He needs your agreement. He doesn't require your strategy. He desires your surrender. This is where you begin to practice true alignment. It's not passive waiting, it's active trust. It's waking up and saying, "God, what are you doing today? And how can I move with it?" It's learning to listen before you plan, to discern before you decide. Here's how you practice it. Take a moment each morning before you act, before you respond, before you commit, and simply ask, "Lord, what are you doing in this moment?" Then pause long enough to listen. Sometimes His leading won't make sense, but it will bring peace. And that peace is your compass. When you start aligning instead of insisting, your spirit becomes light again. You stop feeling like you're dragging life uphill. You stop fighting invisible battles that were never yours to win. You stop asking God to fit into your schedule and instead move in His timing. And every step becomes purposeful again. You'll notice that anxiety begins to fade. You won't need constant reassurance anymore because you'll know He's leading, He's guiding, He's sustaining. That confidence doesn't come from certainty. It comes from submission. This is what it means to live under divine authority, to move when He says move, to pause when He says wait, and to trust that what looks still on the surface is powerful beneath it. Like seeds buried in soil, you may not see progress, but something sacred is happening underground. Placing yourself under God's authority doesn't make life easier, it makes it ordered. It aligns your steps with divine timing, your plans with eternal purpose. It removes confusion, not because you know everything, but because you finally trust the one who does. So today, practice this sacred realignment. Quiet the noise of striving and return to the stillness of surrender. Stop asking for signs to confirm what obedience already makes clear. Let go of the idea that faith is about forcing results. Faith is following without full visibility. You are not losing control. You are returning it to the rightful hand. And those hands are gentle. They are wise. They are the same hands that shaped galaxies and yet still hold your life with care. When you let go of needing God to work your way, you finally make room for Him to work His. And you'll see what you couldn't before, that everything He withheld, delayed, or changed was never a rejection. It was redirection towards something greater. Take this as your practice for today. Before every decision, pause. Before every reaction, breathe. Before every plan, ask, Lord, align me. Say it until it becomes the rhythm of your heart. That's how heaven moves, through agreement, not argument. You're not here to make God fit your timeline. You're here to let His timeline refine you. Surrender isn't losing, it's returning. And when you return, everything starts to flow again. Stay still long enough to sense the current, then let yourself move with it. That's not passivity, that's power. That's what it means to live aligned. If you pause for a moment right now, you can almost feel it, the stillness before something new begins. It's not loud or dramatic, it's quiet, almost sacred. Like the hush before sunrise. The air feels full of promise. You've walked through nights that seemed endless, but the light is finally breaking through. What's ahead of you isn't random, it's restoration. Heaven is about to bring beauty from every place that once felt broken. But restoration doesn't always appear the way we expect. It's not just about receiving back what was lost. It's about being rebuilt stronger, deeper, wiser. It's like a potter working clay, pressing, shaping, molding. The hands that form you are the same ones that hold you. Every spin on the wheel, every touch of pressure is not destruction, it's creation. You've become that clay in the hands of the divine. You felt the spinning, the reshaping, the uncertainty of not knowing what you're becoming. Yet, all along, there has been intention in every turn. You are being formed into something that will hold living water. You are being prepared to carry blessing without breaking. Sometimes restoration feels slow because heaven is rebuilding the foundation first. The unseen parts of your life, the faith, the patience, the humility, those are what sustain the weight of new glory. Without a strong foundation, blessings become burdens. So if it's taken time, don't be discouraged. It's not delay, it's design. According to what is revealed in the book of Joel, chapter 2, verse 25, I will restore to you the years that the locusts have eaten. That is not just a promise, it's a prophecy still unfolding. God doesn't simply replace what was lost. He redeems it. He takes what was meant for harm and turns it into harvest. He rewrites the pain into purpose. He multiplies what was once diminished. The wasted years aren't wasted anymore, they become the soil where miracles grow. And now, heaven is inviting you into a partnership of restoration. Not as a spectator, but as a vessel. Restoration isn't something that happens to you, it's something that happens through you. The same grace that healed you is meant to heal others through your story. The same comfort that reached you in silence is meant to flow through your words, your kindness, your giving. When you share this message, you're not just clicking a button, you're spreading seeds. Somewhere out there, someone is standing in the same darkness you once knew. They're searching for a voice, a sign, a reminder that they're not forgotten. When you like and share, you help that message find them. You become part of heaven's network of hope. And when you subscribe, it's not about numbers, it's about connection. You're saying, I want to stay in this flow of encouragement. I want to walk this journey together because we grow stronger when we don't walk alone. This isn't just content, it's communion. It's a place where hearts meet heaven halfway. If you ever feel led to donate, let it be from a place of gratitude, not guilt. Giving isn't about losing, it's about planting. Every seed you sow becomes light to someone still lost in their night. It helps carry the message further, to the corners where despair still hides. You may never see the faces you impact, but heaven will show you one day the ripples your generosity created. Think of it like a river. Every drop matters. One stream by itself might seem small, but together, they create flow. That flow becomes strength. That strength becomes life. Your engagement, your words, your sharing, your giving, they all merge into a current of grace that carries hope farther than you can imagine. You've become part of something eternal. This is not just another video, another voice, it's a movement of restoration. Every person who listens, every person who believes, every person who shares is part of the rebuilding. You are helping to replant gardens where the locusts once devoured. You are helping to rebuild walls where hearts once crumbled. And as you help others heal, your own healing deepens. Because that's how heaven works. What you pour out multiplies. When you give, you don't lose, you grow. When you encourage, you expand. When you sow light, it reflects back tenfold. The more you bless, the more you become the blessing. Picture yourself as a candle in a vast, dark room. One flame might not light the whole space, but if every listener lights theirs, darkness doesn't stand a chance. That's the power of small, faithful acts. That's the power of unity. So as this message reaches your heart, pause and let it settle. You've walked through seasons of breaking, of waiting, of becoming. But this is your building season. The walls are rising again, the foundation is steady again, and light is returning through every crack. And now, I invite you not with pressure, but with purpose to be part of that light. Like to say, I see this truth, share. To say someone else needs it too. Subscribe. To say I want to keep walking with faith. Donate if you feel moved. To say I believe this matters. Do it not out of habit, but out of heart. Because every act of connection helps another soul find its way home. This is how heaven multiplies through people who care enough to carry light forward. And when you leave your comment, let it come from your spirit, not your screen. Write what this awakening means to you. Your words might be the answer to someone else's silent prayer. Sometimes, all someone needs to hear is that you made it through. That alone can rekindle faith. This isn't the end of your journey. It's the continuation of your calling. You are part of something bigger now. Something divine that flows through messages, moments, and people. So let's keep the light alive together. Like 1,000 stars across a midnight sky, every small light counts, and yours shines brighter than you know. You've reached the end of this message, but not the end of your journey. What you've heard here is not just a collection of words, it's a mirror, a reminder of the strength, faith, and divine rhythm that has always lived inside you. The real story continues now, in the quiet moments after this one ends. If this message spoke to you, if somewhere between the words you felt peace return, hope stir, or clarity rise, then maybe it wasn't meant to stop with you. Perhaps someone you love, someone quietly fighting their own battles, needs to hear it too. Maybe a friend who's losing faith, a sibling searching for direction, or a parent who prays but still feels unseen. Sharing what has lifted you is a way of extending light forward. It's not about spreading content, it's about passing comfort. But if you choose not to share, that's okay too. Sometimes a word is meant to stay private, a seed sown in your own soul. Keep it. Let it rest there. Let it grow quietly in the soil of your heart. You don't have to tell anyone what moved you. Just carry the part that touched you and let it shape how you walk, how you speak, how you love. Whether you share it or keep it close, let it remain something sacred between you and heaven, a quiet reminder that you are seen, that timing is holy, and that even when life feels unfinished, grace is still at work. The story isn't over, the light isn't done, and somewhere within you, something new has already begun.